Screw the intro. What's going on, guys? It's your boy. Oh, wait, that's an intro. Anyways, I'm not funny. I'm cringy. This channel is dead. Yeah, let's get right into the news. I mean, the channel's dead, but I'm being positive about it. So, as long as I'm positive and clickbaity enough, I will get all the views and all the money and all the ad revenue and all the good stuff on YouTube. So, yeah, I'm just gonna make up a fake story, and, yeah, you guys are going to, like, give me all the ad revenue. So, what's going on, boys? It's your boy, Electro Guy. My mic was not close enough to my mouth, and I'm really angry about that. Anyway, so, yeah, yesterday I was at this store, and this guy was like, "Hey, you're gay," and I was like, "How did you know?" And so, freaking the guy was like, "I don't know, I could just see it in your face." And this guy's name was Tristan. His first name Tris, last name Tan. And so Tristan called me gay. I got really triggered, okay? Because we all know ElectroNinjaHD is a feminist. I mean, I get triggered over everything. If somebody says hello to me on the street, I get triggered. If somebody's cutting a watermelon, I get triggered. If somebody is playing chess, I get triggered because chess rhymes with chest. And chest is what guys are staring at on women. And I get overly triggered by that. And yeah, I just got so offended by this Tristan guy because he called me gay. He was playing chess too. And I mean, freaking, you can't call a feminist gay while you're playing chess. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, yeah, this happened, and I got so triggered that, I went to my local resource, and I bought a cantaloupe. Now, you're probably like, what does a cantaloupe have to do with this guy calling you gay? Well, freaking, it was really weird. I'm not sure. So I just, like, bought this cantaloupe, and I went home, and I freaking ate it, okay? I didn't, like, bother putting salt on it, or whatever you weirdos do. And so I straight up ate the cantaloupe. I didn't even try to cut it. I didn't try to do anything. And, yeah, my family's probably listening through my door right now, and they're probably thinking I'm on drugs. But, you know what? I'm just so triggered right now. I can't even, and I literally just threw my phone against the wall. I'm an idiot. But yeah, I was so triggered, I bought a cantaloupe and I just ate it whole. And then, whenever this cantaloupe went down into my intestines, yeah, go check out the Wheezy Clan channel. That's an inside joke. But anyway, I was so triggered that, I had to make this video to just explain how triggered I was. I was so unbelievably triggered, and if I ever get so triggered again, I might just, I don't know, man. I might go to Reese's again, and I don't know. No, I'm not even gonna go to Reese's. I'm gonna go to Target, and I'm gonna buy chocolate milk. And now you're probably like, ElectroNinjaHD, the best YouTuber on the planet, who gets all the ad revenue, better than PewDiePie. What does chocolate milk have to do with anything? What does a cantaloupe have to do with anything? Well, I'm gonna go to my local Target and get a freaking, carton of milk. Now, you're probably like, but, like, Target isn't known for having cartons of milk. They're known for having a lot of other stuff. Why would you go to the food aisle? Well, don't judge me. So, cause if you judge me, I will get triggered. I will get so triggered, and it will not be fun for you. So, yeah, I'm gonna go to Target and buy a chocolate milk carton. And I'm gonna come home, and I'm literally going to, no, I'm going to buy 10 cartons, as a matter of fact, because that makes a lot more sense. And I'm gonna fill my bathtub with it, and then I'm going to jump in the bathtub, and then I'm going to freaking drown myself, because that's how triggered I will be. Because I am so unbelievably triggered, and, yeah, so if you are a guy named Tristan, you're playing chess and you're cutting a watermelon open, just remember, I don't care what your background is. I will be so unbelievably triggered that, oh boy, you won't even see what you got coming, because I have all my Electro Ninja skills, and I'm so unbelievably good at it, and I will wreck your face, and yeah. Anyway, the point is that, Yeah, my channel is dead and I'm so triggered. And you know what? I mean, that's what threw me into my YouTube depression, okay? Whenever Tristan was playing chess and eating his watermelon and he called me gay because I was a feminist, freaking that threw my channel into a depression, and that's why my channel is officially dead. So you know what? You're probably asking, ElectroNinja 900 better than PewDiePie, sellout boy, best guy in the world. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna save your channel? And I have just the answer. I'm gonna do reaction videos, okay? Now you're probably like, Electro, you have the cruddiest equipment and you're always complaining about your equipment. So, how are you gonna do a reaction video? You suck, you're a bad YouTuber. You can't edit for crap, and when you do edit, it's terrible. Well, I'm gonna do it right now, and I'm gonna show you how. Right now, I'm going to react to the first ever video I did on YouTube, and here it goes.
Hello everybody, my name is ElectroNinja, and welcome to my very first, video on my channel. Now, I said I was gonna be playing, like, Call
The memories. Oh my gosh, this was like, this was in 2015, January 29th. Oh my gosh, I'm just getting so emotional right now. I've never been so I can't even, I'm so triggered right now. Thank you guys for watching the video. By the way, you guys should support my pen pal and my, my pen pal. Anyway, you should support my Google Plus and my Pinterest and my Facebook and my Twitter and my Instagram cracker. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't even, I can't. Oh boys, look who it is. It's your boy Boat. It's your boy Joe Mama 527. This is Lord Ninja Legendary, the boy ever. This will get me all the YouTube Red Avenue because you know what? I'm collabing with another famous YouTuber. Am I right? Screw it, my channel's so dead, I'm gonna end it all right now.
What is going on, guys? My name is Mytrocity. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm grateful that you guys are here, and I'm just gonna take the gloves off and get straight into it. And today we're going to be talking about the time I lost my virginity. This is gonna be a story time type of video, so kick back, grab a bucket of popcorn, or don't. I don't know why you'd get popcorn if you're listening to a virginity story. That's kind of weird. But anyways, we're going to get into how I lost my virginity, when it happened, and all of that cool stuff, I suppose. So I want you to think back to around 2020. It was around the time the pandemic was kind of going crazy. I want to say near around, this was about, I want to say, either December of 2020 or early 2021 when this happened. This is kind of my frame of reference as far as I remember. It's been a handful of years since this incident had occurred, but I want you to think back to that time. What was going on in 2020? Pandemic, staying in the house a lot, playing video games nonstop. Some of you were probably attending virtual school like I was. I pretty much lost my senior prom and my senior graduation, aside from a little ceremony in the middle of the summer. But I pretty much lost my whole last year of high school to this pandemic because the societal world system, or whatever you want to call it, nobody really knew what to do for school kids and stuff like that at that time. So it was really it was a really different time. And during this time, with all the sitting inside and not seeing people and kind of just isolating from the world, and also just not really having too many friends outside of my friend group that I'd play games with, you know, you could only play games so many times and socialize with the same people every day until you just kind of get tired of, you know, doing the same thing. And you know, as a, at the time, a 18 to 19-year-old teenage, I guess, adult man at this point, it was a time when I was starting to reflect on all of the things I had not done in my teenage years, And one of those things was, you guessed it, do the old hanky-panky, if you guys are catching my drift. The only experience I had had with a girl up to that point was just briefly kissing and making out with one of my girlfriends from high school, and we really did not get that far in that relationship because right around the time I was getting comfortable enough to be like, hey, do you want to do the coitus, the hanky panky, if I may? She dumped me, and that really put a damper on things. But that's not where I'm going with this story. So, anyways, with all of this going on and my new desire to lose my virginity somehow, some way, I ended up contacting somebody that I knew from high school, and this girl was not a very well liked person in high school, and it was for a lot of very obvious reasons at the time. But as an adult now, I mean, if we were looking back on that, it'd be like, oh, we were in high school, it's not that big of a deal, whatever. This person is way more well adjusted nowadays, but at the time, I want you to just think of a person you knew in high school who was probably not the most attractive person and was probably one of the most annoying people you could think of. And at the time, that's just kind of who this girl was. She was just kind of laughed at by everybody and kind of hated by most people, but she was one of those people that's like, well, I don't give a shit what you think about me, so get over it. I'm me unapologetically. And I mean, honestly, you should be you unapologetically. Just don't be annoying about it. But anyways, my point is that this girl was considered ugly and annoying by most people in high school, and I know that's very blunt, but that's just what people said about her, and I know that for a fact. I never said those things, but that's what people considered, and at that time, given the fact that you probably are guessing where the story is going to end up going, this is not something I would have admitted to anybody. Not that you should kiss and tell or do anything like that, because, it's nobody's business. What you do with another person consensually, it's nobody's business at all, but that's just something I would not have admitted to anybody in the confidence of any friend or anything like that. I just would not have admitted to that because I know I would have felt embarrassed, but nowadays I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. I still don't find this girl very appealing, but anyways, you kind of get where the story is going to go, and I'm going to elaborate here in a second. But anyways, what had happened was I was scrolling through dating apps. I was getting fed up with them because I was just like, you know what? Dating apps aren't working. I'm paying money to use apps that just aren't really getting me connections with people, and I got this grand old idea to hit this girl up. This girl that you may have heard of, ugly and annoying, from high school, and I added her on Snapchat, and I kind of just started talking to her casually. I was just like, hey, what's up? Crazy that high school's over and all of that, and we just kind of chatted for a while. We started talking about music we liked and things we wanted to do after high school being over and what our plans were, and we were just kind of talking and but anyways, we're chatting for a while, and things are going just about how you expect when you're talking with someone, and basically we kind of were talking for a bit, and then I found out she dropped this bombshell on me. She's like, I have a boyfriend. And at this point I was like, welp, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen all around the world, it is over for your boy. I am not, in fact, going to be losing my virginity anytime soon if this girl has a boyfriend. And I know that's really scummy to say, but that's just how I felt at the time. And so basically was like, okay, well, that sucks. And I kind of just lost connection with her for a little bit. But basically, a few months later, she hits me up and she's like, hey, we haven't talked in a while. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. I liked how we were talking for a bit. Just want to see how you're doing. I was like, yo, yeah, I'm doing good. It's whatever. And she asked me if I wanted to go hang out or do something. And I really did not want to hang out or do anything with this girl. And I knew that I should not have gone and hung out with her at all. So, what do? Well, being in the situation that I was in, I went and hung out with her. And we went on, technically some dates. I won't say they were really dates because they weren't romantic, but, the handful of times where, I'd drive her to a place, maybe we'd go out to eat, maybe we'd go to the bowling alley, or we'd go do something just, whatever we had in our local city. And that was pretty much all we did. We did that a few times, and I didn't really enjoy myself entirely, but I didn't, hate the whole time that I had. It was just like whatever. We were just hanging out. There wasn't really anything. There was no ulterior motive. And a little bit of time passes, and at this point, I am just over the not having sex thing. I really wanted to have sex. So, what do? Spur of the moment, randomly? Well, I send this girl a Snapchat message and I say, hey, I know you've got a boyfriend, but I really want to you. Will you please me? And if not, it's okay. I won't pursue this any further. I'll back off. You won't have to hear from me again. And lo and behold, this girl says, oh, I was lying about the boyfriend thing. I just wanted to see how long it would take before you asked me to do this. I had a crush on you all throughout high school, and I was just too nervous to say anything. This is great. I was no stud in high school, and I am no stud today, but I just thought that was kind of odd, and I didn't know whether to take it as a compliment or internally deep down say, oh, that's kinda nasty. So, lo and behold, that night I drove out to her apartment. After an awkward maybe 10 minutes of trying to get through the apartment gate and getting up to her apartment, we finally were about to start doing things. We were talking, and her roommate walks out, which so happened to be one of my ex-classmates. And she kind of looks me dead in the eyes and says, why are you in my apartment? And I just said, me and her were just hanging out, and she looks me dead in the eye and she says, I know you two are about to do the hanky-panky. I'm paraphrasing here, but she's like, I know you guys are about to do this. You don't need to lie. And I was like, oh, well, yup, that's what's gonna happen. And anyways, the rest of the night went about as how you would have expected it to go. And I basically left her apartment that night, and did I feel ashamed? No. Did I feel relieved that I had finally been able to participate in such an activity? No. I didn't really feel anything. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was disappointing. It was just not something that I really got a lot of excitement out of. But anyways, guys, that's my terrible virginity story. If you guys want to hear more terrible stories like this, make sure you drop a like, hit subscribe. I do commentary and storytime videos all the time on this channel. This is kind of what I do. And if you like these videos, drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Dating is not an easy thing in the modern world. There's just a lot of things that kind of get in the way when it comes to dating. People not wanting to leave the house. Dating apps usually not working, and just all the normal things that most of you probably experience on a day-to-day basis when it comes to dating. And it's just kind of a different world than it probably was maybe 10-15 years ago. Dating is not the same, hey, can I get your number, girl, and we go out on a date and I buy you flowers and all that. It's really not like that anymore. It's hey, can we go out on a date? Sure, what do you provide for me? And that's kind of what dating is nowadays. But as someone in my shoes, I have dated off and on for a number of years since I was in high school. That does not mean a lot of people. That just means, a few people here and there. I want to say since I've been in high school, I've dated about 4 people. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, I can't remember the exact number. It's just what you consider dating. I've dated people, but there's also people who have been my girlfriends through, that time. But anyway, guys, my name is Atrocity. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video, and today I'm going to tell you guys the story about how I fumbled the baddie. That's right, I have fumbled many dates in my time, and while I do not really consider this a date, this is a story that really irks me because, you know, I fumbled the baddie, the baddie that I had wanted for a very long time, and I'm going to tell you that story now. So, in the 7th grade, I had got on the school bus for the first day of school, and there was this girl that I knew from a few years prior. We hadn't talked much, but I knew who she was because she lived in my neighborhood and she was homeschooled. And basically, she finally got the chance to come to the public school that I was attending, and I see that she's about to start getting on the bus. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know, you know, she went to public school now. That's awesome. Anyways, I'm about to whip out my DS and play some Pokemon Pearl, and then she gets on the bus, and I look up, and I notice something about her that I had never noticed before. Now, this was this age where you start getting a few hairs on your chest, and you start smelling kind of funny, and you really start questioning a lot of things. And I think you might take a guess at what I was looking at whenever she got on the bus. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because she had giant... Anyway, she gets on the bus, and I'm quite perplexed by her appearance, and I kind of just started making small talk with her. I just was like, hey, yo, what's up? It's good to see you. It's been a few years, and, you know, she brought her DS, because DSs were still popular at the time, and she wanted to play Pokemon with me. And I thought that was cool, and we basically kind of just picked up a friendship that we hadn't had for really a few years. I mean, I had really only known her just riding my bike around the neighborhood and just, like, you know, hanging out with the neighborhood kids here and there. And so yeah, we just kind of picked up our friendship from there in the 7th grade, and, you know, off and on through the years. You know, she would date some people through high school. She dated a couple of friends in my friend group. I found her quite attractive. I was very attracted to her. So while she was dating some of my friends, of course, I was a bit jealous of this, but, you know, I just kind of looked at it as, look, she's not interested in me. She probably never will be interested in me. I'm not going to think about it, and I'm just going to be friends with her. And, you know, lo and behold, near kind of like the end of high school, she kind of just started moving around a lot because her family was kind of a mess, and she ended up moving schools a lot. And I want to say it was about my junior or senior year of high school. That's whenever she basically was just gone. It had been quite a bit of time where I had not seen her. Had some brief contact with her, you know, had her on social media. I'd send her a message or a meme here and there, be like, hey, what's up? And there really wasn't much to it. Now, I graduated in 2020, and this is when the pandemic happened, and of course, I'm not going to go into the details of the pandemic, but basically, it had been about 3 whole years from the time the pandemic had basically started until 2023, until I got to see her again. You know, I kept brief contact with her. You know, I'd see what she was doing on social media. She'd date some people. She'd go on some festivities. That was pretty much it. And around, I want to say, March of 2023, this is when I started, you know, coming out of my shell a little bit more. I started going out, going to concerts. I was finally legal to drink and go to bars and stuff like that, because, I mean, around this time I was 21, 22. And one night, out of nowhere, she just hits me up and she says, hey, what's going on? I'm in the neighborhood at my grandma's old house where I'm staying. I just wondering if you were around, if you'd want to hang out. Maybe we could go get a drink and just, you know, have a good time. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what is about to happen? This is completely random. Like, is she just trying to actually catch up? Or, you know, and I know she's dated a lot of people, so I'm thinking to myself, is she trying to do something with me? What's going on? So basically, throughout that evening, we had made a plan to go meet at a local bar. We went to this bar, we chatted, we caught up. You know, she told me about things going on in her life. I told her about things going on in my life. And she basically said to me, yeah, I'm kind of on the rocks with my boyfriend right now. I don't know if we're going to make it. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. And I honestly, at this point, because I just really didn't think that anything was gonna happen. I knew, like, I had a creeping feeling in the back of my head she was trying to, like, reconnect with me for some other reason, but I couldn't really pin it, and I definitely did not think it was because I was going to bag the baddie that night. It was just like, this is kind of random, but you know, we're friends, we're chill, I'm not going to think much of it. So anyways, that night, we go back to her grandma's house, we watch a movie, and you know, we're just catching up, we're drinking a little bit, and you know, we're having a good time. And it was just me and her in this house. There was a dog running around somewhere. She was basically taking care of her grandma's dog. And so anyways, we're watching a couple of movies. I remember we watched Hereditary. I thought it was a scary shit movie. It's a great movie. And pretty much the night goes by until the end of the night, where things got a little odd. And keep in mind, I live right down the road. I had work the next morning, and I was already out pretty late. It was around midnight, and she was a little tipsy, a little drunk, but not like crazy drunk or anything like that. And I probably should not have been like operating a vehicle under like the kind of drunk state that I was in. I really hadn't drank a whole lot. I wasn't really experienced with drinking. I didn't know how much I could hold, and I think I may have overdid myself just a tiny bit. But we get to the end of the night, and we're standing in her garage. I'm about to just drive around the block to go home, and we just start talking, and she's like, "Hey, did you ever have a crush on me?" And that really took me by storm. Did that take you by storm? It took me by storm. And we kind of talked for a minute, and I said, you know, I had some, you know, feelings here and there throughout high school, but you know, just those were high school feelings. I don't know if I really feel that nowadays. And I kind of just asked her, I said, hey, did you ever have feelings like that towards me? And she kind of just nodded her head and said, you know, there were a few times, you know, that you thought you were appealing. You know, there was a lot of moments I wish you would have asked me out, but I also know I was dating some of your friends, so I know that was kind of a tricky situation for you as well to even pursue that. And I basically just was like, yeah, it is what it is, you know. Thanks for telling me. I mean, that's nice. I'm flattered that you know you felt that way, or even if you feel that way now, thank you. I really just don't know how I feel about this at this moment. And basically, we just kind of chatted for a moment. We ended the night, and I drove home, and I went to bed with a million thoughts running through my brain. And despite all of these crazy thoughts that I was having at the time, I was just like, wow, that's really interesting. But basically, you know, some time had passed. I hadn't seen her for a few weeks, and then she hits me up again. She's like, hey, do you want to go out to the bar again? Do you want to get some drinks? Do you want to watch a movie and, you know, do what we did the last time? She's like, my grandma's out of town. I'm watching her house again. I was like, sure, you know what? We'll do this again. This is fun. It's good to reconnect with an old friend. And even though she had dropped that bombshell on me, I didn't have any expectations, you know, going over to her house that night. But we pretty much just did the exact same thing, caught up, and over the next, you know, handful of months, maybe through the summertime, we had kind of just started hanging out again and being friends again, and you know, it was just a good time. We'd go out and do things. We were going out to, you know, restaurants, and we were going out drinking. We were going to some concerts. We went to a few bars and a couple of, you know, like nightclubs, and you know, we were having a good time doing all this, and we were just doing this as friends, and you know, we really weren't like discussing what we had discussed that night in her grandma's garage. Anyways, we're hanging out a lot through the summer, and there was this moment in time wherever she it was like, hey, my grandma is in town, she's at the house, but I want to hang out. Do you want to hang out this weekend, maybe at your place, or we go out and do something? And this so happened to be a weekend where my parents just had gone out of town to go do something. I don't know what they were doing. I think they were camping or something. They take like a trailer out some places sometimes. But anyways, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? You can come over. Let's do some things before you come over. Like, let's go to the lake and do something, and you know, we can just make a day of it. And so we pretty much, you know, we went to the lake. You know, she was trying to, you know, learn how to roller skate, so I helped her with that. And we had this really, like, it was not a romantic date, but this was like a date type of thing where things you see in like a romantic film, like, oh, the girl tries to skate, go on roller skates, and she falls into your arms, and she sees a butterfly, and she thinks it's beautiful. You know, just typical, like, romance movie bullshit. And I didn't have any, feelings to this. I was like, oh, we're hanging out. And this was just how clueless I was, I guess. And so basically later that night, we get some wine, we come back to my house, and we're, watching some TV, some movies, we're drinking just a little bit, and at one point we go into my room, and we're just playing games on my Xbox, because she's like, you have an Xbox, right? And I was like, yeah, we can play some like co-op games or whatever. And we're playing some games, and at one point I think we were playing, it was either Gang Beasts or it was some other fighting like co-op game. I can't remember what it was called, but she basically pauses the game, puts the controller down, and she looks at me and she's like, are you gonna do anything? And I'm like, what? She's like, are you going to do anything? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I am sitting on your bed right now. We are playing Gang Beasts. I'm saying Gang Beasts for the sake of this because I don't know what game it was, but she's like, we are playing Gang Beasts. I'm sitting on your bed, and you have not made a single move on me. And I kind of just looked at her all perplexed, because for the last few weeks, I just really, I guess I wasn't taking the hint that we were going on dates, even though we really weren't, or at least we weren't putting a label on it as a date. And she pretty much just says, you know what, I'm glad that we're friends, and I'm so, glad that we've reconnected, but I was really hoping tonight would be the night you made a move on me after all we've done for the last few weeks. And I kind of just looked at her and I said, oh, whoops, my bad, do you want me to make a move now? And she looks at me and she says, I think I'm gonna go home, I gotta get up for work in the morning. And I walked her to her car, and she drove home, and we pretty much didn't hang out again for a while until we went to a concert a few months later, and all of that had passed, and she reconnected with her boyfriend at that time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I, Mytrocity, your favorite YouTuber, fumbled the baddie. Anyways, guys, if you like this video and you want to hear more, make sure you drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm going to be telling you guys a bit of a story today. So, this happened last year, and I was in 8th grade last year. I'm in 9th grade now. I'm 15 years old, so it's a bit, the accurate grade level for my age. And so, I'm going to be telling you guys this crazy story that happened. Well, not really crazy, it's kind of stupid. So, last year, what happened was I got into some drama with my librarian. So the story goes is that it was one morning, me and my friends were just chilling out in the gym lobby area, because, it's like right outside the gym, of course, so we're just hanging out there, chilling, just doing our thing before we go to class, just talking and looking at our phones and stuff. And then my best friend, Buttersniper14, you guys all know who he is. He's been in a couple of my videos. I don't think you guys have heard his voice, but you guys have most likely heard of him. So what happens is that he walks in the room, and I don't see him walking in. What he does is he has his backpack in his hand, and he hits me in the face with his backpack. Now, I wasn't really hurt, but out of, just pure shock, I was like, he was doing this for fun. So, and in just pure shock, I was like, oh no. And then I'm standing up to go, chase him, maybe punch him in the arm or something, just for fun. And so happens to be that this librarian lady is sitting right next to us. And the second I grab his arm, she's just like, no. You boys get to the other end of the room. You both get away from each other. I will not accept fighting, okay? And so we're looking at her like, what are you talking about? We were not fighting. And then she's like, I don't care. I want you boys on the other end of the room. And so what happens is, I'm like, no, he's my best friend, I'm not abandoning him. And so we're about to go walk back to our group of friends, and then she literally stops us, and she's like, no, other end of the room, now. And so, at this point, she's arguing with us, and I'm just telling her to shut her effing mouth, and all this sort of thing. And I'm just being rude to her. I am cussing her out. And, she doesn't care that I'm cussing her out or anything. And so, at this point, I'm just like, okay, you know what, whatever, let's just do what she says, because she's just getting on my nerves at this point. And so what happens is I go back over to my group of friends, and my best friend, he literally, like, I go back to our group, I should say. He goes to the other end of the room. He's all by himself. He's just looking at me. He's like, what did we do wrong? I was like, I don't know. And so as we were sitting down, I was sitting by my our little group of friends. What happens is I look up, and she is literally giving me the death eye. She's looking at me like I freaking punched a kitten, like I punched a baby, like I killed Harambe or something like that. And she's just staring at me. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, you don't need to stare at me this long. I know I'm gorgeous and everything, but just stop staring. But no, in all reality, what I said to her was, what do you want? Why are you staring at me? And she doesn't even answer to me. She just freaking stares at me for like 10 minutes. And it was getting pretty weird and annoying. So eventually a couple of days go by, and we usually go into the library on Thursdays, and you know, I was in a pretty good mood for the last few days, you know, everything like that. And so what happens is, we're in the library, and she's like, okay, we're gonna go over to the computer room, and we're gonna do a bit of an assignment and everything on like time eras and stuff like that, and what happened in these time eras. And it was really weird and everything. And so what happens is, before we leave, all the kids are about to start leaving the room. This chick walks up to me and Butter Sniper. We're both just, you know, we're just all sitting there talking for a second. And then Butter Sniper looks down and he's like, oh, I didn't write my name on my paper. Let me do that real quick. So what he does is he writes his name on his paper, and me and this chick, we're sitting there waiting for him to finish this paper. And what happens is I look up, and this librarian, she goes from having a smile on her face straight to Harambe's dead. What is wrong with you? You freaking ruined my marriage. That's literally what she goes to. Okay? She literally gives me the death stare, and she freaking yells at me, and she's like, I don't care if he's your best friend. Go to the freaking computer room now. She's yelling at me to go to the computer room, and I'm just like, whoa, where is this coming from? That was like 4 days ago. Let it go. And so I walk out into the hallway, we're all walking out at the same time, and then I'm just like, at the top of my lungs, I just say this, wow, somebody can hold a grudge. And then she's just like, yeah, whatever, I should send you to the principal's office. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, you can just do that. I mean, I'm not gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get in trouble for being completely stupid. So what happens is that we're in the library, that's where we were. We weren't in the librarian, we were in the library. And so what happens is, she's staring at me for the whole class time, and it's getting on my nerves. And so you know what? I was just like, okay, fine, you want to stare at me? How about I do the same back? So for the rest of the entire year, you know, she hates me, I hate her. I mean, it's just bad. And so what happens is like, every time she would look at me or even get near me, I would do like that weird, like, just like wide-eye stare. I would just stare at her and freak her out, and then she would look at me like there was something wrong with me. And at some point during this time, I stared at her wide-eyed, and she's like, why are you staring at me like that? And I'm just like, oh, well, I mean, it's not like you haven't done the same thing to me. So, and you know, it was just very ridiculous. I still hate her to this day. I really don't like her. I think she's crazy. She actually is crazy, because, like, okay, I don't know. She might be bipolar for all I know, because she will literally go from straight up happy to straight up evil in a second, and I don't know. But I mean, still, yet again, I mean, even if she is, I still do hate her guts. I do not like her at all. And it just, I don't like her. So yeah, I still don't get along with her to this day. And I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like this story. I know it wasn't the greatest story, and it wasn't the greatest commentary. It was kind of all over the place, but I didn't really have this commentary plan and everything. But however, guys, thanks for all the support recently. If you guys like this video, hit the like button, please share it and all that crap, or do whatever. I really don't care. But I really do appreciate the support and everything. And this is to the librarian lady out there. I'm not gonna say your name, but yeah. Anyway, I still hate you, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys like this video, hit the like button, and that's the end of the video. See you guys later.
What's going on, guys? My name is ElectroNinjaHD. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm grateful that you guys are here, and today I'm going to be telling you about the time I got into my first fight. So this fight happened in March of 2024. Basically, leading up to this fight, what had happened was me and my girlfriend at the time, we were going to go see the band Starset. And if you know anything about the band Starset, they are kind of this like hard rock, kinda metal, not really, but like hard rock leaning band that mixes like sci-fi soundtracks with their music, and their live show is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I've been to a ton of concerts, but I don't think I've ever had a concert top Starset so far. I would go check them out if they ever come through your city or wherever you live. They're an amazing band, and I'm going to show you guys some photos throughout the video just to kind of give you guys some more reference to what I'm talking about here. I got some pretty cool photos before this incident occurred. But anyways, me and my girlfriend had seen that this band was coming through town, and we wanted to go see them. So I bought the tickets, we waited a few weeks, and lo and behold, the night of the concert happens, and we wait outside the venue for about an hour and just waiting for people to start lining up so we could get in the door and get some good spots. We got pit tickets, so we were standing pretty close to the band. I want to say we were maybe only like behind a few like groups of people, and you can kind of see that throughout these photos that I'm showing right here. But anyways, this was a concert where there were no opening bands. It was just the band playing for like 2 hours, and this band is one of these like more showman type bands, so even though they were playing hard rock, metal adjacent type of music, this was more of a show where you go to observe the thing. You're not really moshing or doing anything like that. The singer was not calling out for people to start circle pits or anything like that. It was a very like tame kind of, you can bring your kids to this concert and have a great amazing experience, and that's kind of what Starset shows are like. But anyways, the concert begins and everybody's, you know, having a good time. There's a lot of like older, maybe like mid 30s, late 40s, like parents bringing their kids, and you know, just rock fans and people in general. Just, it's a pretty normal crowd of people. It's not crazy, super like a metal concert where, you know, people are shoving and swinging and doing all that, because, you know, at a Starset show, I would imagine that's just kind of the unwritten rule, because I really did not see any of that. But anyways, about 20-30 minutes passes into the show, and I'm kind of just trying to, you know, take some photos, take some videos, just to, you know, show my parents, because they were, you know, interested in whatever I was doing. So I was like, oh, just to get a few videos, a few photos, you know, whatever. And as soon as I put down my phone, just kind of to go back and enjoy the concert, because I don't like holding my phone up at concerts for too long, I get tapped on the shoulder by someone, and I'm like, okay, who's gonna tap on my shoulder to ask me to move or whatever, because I'm like 6'3", and people typically that are behind me complain because I'm too tall. And I turn around, I'm about to say something like, hey, find another spot, get over it, but I turn around, and it's my cousin. And I had not seen my cousin in a handful of years, but whenever I was younger, I was very close with this cousin. And, you know, I saw this cousin, I was like, hey, what's up? Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. And I introduced him to my girlfriend, and, you know, we made some small talk because, you know, the band was still playing, and it was loud, we couldn't really hear, and I just kind of said, hey, let's catch up after the concert, and, you know, all that good stuff. And so basically, we just kind of agreed to that, and he walked off to go back over to his group of friends or whoever he had brought to the concert with. I wasn't really sure who he was all with, but I think it was one other guy. But basically, about another 20 minutes passes, and the concert's going really well. Everybody's enjoying it. It's a great time. My girlfriend at the time, she was just super amazed at everything she was seeing, and so was I. I was just so dumbfounded at how good a production could be. So about 20 minutes since this interaction passes, and I'm sitting there with my girlfriend. She's on the left side of me from the stage, and we're just basically sitting there, and then all of a sudden I get slammed into. And it's this guy who's kind of, you know, doing the thing you're not supposed to do at a Starset show, which is, moshing. He's jumping around, he's bumping into people, he's, you know, slamming into these parents and like teenagers and just trying to get a circle pit or a mosh pit type thing going down. And he's kind of failing at this. He's this big, tall guy. He's taller than me. I want to say the guy was about 6'5", and he was kind of muscled up. But this guy is slamming into people and bumping into people. And, you know, I've been to a ton of concerts, so this didn't really offend me at all. But I could see a lot of these people these other concert goers, they were getting pretty bent out of shape about this guy, up to the point that they called a security guard to come and tell the guy to stop. And when the security guard came up, we thought, oh, he's going to get kicked out, but he didn't kick him out, and the guy just got told, hey, stop, don't do this anymore, or you're going to get kicked out. So some more time passes, the concert is going well. If you know anything about Starset, at least with this last tour, what they did was basically they did a show in 2 parts. So they played their kind of like story-driven lore songs all at one time, and then they do a maybe 5 to 10 minute intermission, and then they come back and then play all their like hits, basically like a very extensively long encore, which is really dope. So anyways, the band comes back out after the intermission, they say their thank yous, and then they start playing all of their hits, and they're into the middle of one of their hits. I want to say they were playing Monster, or they were playing something, I think the song is called Back to Earth, something like that. They were playing one of their hits, and lo and behold, I get bumped into again. And I start thinking to myself, okay, it's just the mosh guy again. He's probably going to get kicked out, whatever, not a big deal. And then I get bumped into really hard, and I almost toppled over my girlfriend and squashed her, because I turn around and I look, and it is my cousin on top of the mosher guy, pummeling his face in. And I get put in this situation where I'm trying to, one, get my girlfriend away from this situation because she's so small, but then there's this guy that comes up behind my cousin who's pummeling this guy on the ground, and he starts hitting my cousin in the back of the head. And so I'm basically put in this situation where I need to either protect my girlfriend or help my cousin beat this other guy up. So I had to make a split moment decision, so I basically just put my girlfriend to the side and said, hey, stand here, back up as far as you can, and right as I was about to go and join this fight to save my cousin from getting beat up, I really did not know who started the fight, but it didn't really matter because I wanted to defend my family. My cousin's friend, or like his group of friends, there were so many people involved with this fight, I didn't know who was with who. But this big fat guy with blonde hair kind of comes up and starts wailing on the guy that's trying to wail on my cousin from the back. And essentially, I kind of lucked out in this aspect because the fight kind of dissolved from that point, because my cousin ended up getting off of the guy, and the other guy and his friend kind of just started, you know, tussling for a minute, and then there was just a lot of screaming and yelling, and I just remember my cousin yelling at this like group of girls. I guess it was the mosher guy's like girlfriend or something like that, and he's just like, you guys need to go, get away. And while all this is going on, the band did not see the fight, so they just kept playing their music, and the fight kind of just resolved itself without the band having to stop the concert or interfere or anything like that, which, you know, on one hand, it sucks whenever a group of people get into a fight and then the band sees it and they have to stop the concert for everyone's safety and all that. Like, I get why, but it sucks when that happens, and I'm grateful that that did not have to happen. But on the other side of it, I mean, it was a huge fight. We were super close up front from what you could see from the photos. And the fact that nobody in the band saw it or tried to stop it is kind of amazing to me, but that's not really their fault, so we're not placing any blame there. But basically the fight ends, and my cousin comes up to me, and I was like, dude, what happened? And he said, well, the guy was moshing around, we told him to stop, and I got sick of it, and I started beating his ass. And lo and behold, it was my cousin who started the fight. And I was like, dude, are you okay? And he's walking away with a few marks on his face. I think he got a black eye from it. And basically he's like, hey, I'm going to go catch up with my friend to make sure he's okay. And I was like, all right, well, be careful. Don't get jumped outside the venue. And he's like, we'll just meet up outside the venue and talk. later. And at that point in the night, it was so late after the concert had ended that I needed to get my girlfriend home so she could go to work. So I basically could not find my cousin outside of the venue afterwards because we didn't have time to stick around. So I started driving home, and I started to feel guilty while I was driving away because I was like, oh no, like what if he actually gets jumped or something outside of the concert? And then I was like, you know what, it's probably not that big of a deal. He's tough. I'm not going to worry about it. But we're driving home, and we finally get on the highway, and I get a call from him, and I immediately am freaking out because I'm like, oh no, what happened? And he calls me, and he basically just says, hey, I'm sorry that I ruined the concert for you. I hope, we can hang out soon and whatnot. And I basically just told him, I was like, hey, the concert was great. You didn't ruin anything, but I wish you would have just let the security guards handle it. But anyways, that's kind of the first time I almost got into a fight at a concert. So anyways, guys, make sure you drop a like if you like today's video. I do commentary style videos all the time, and my name is Mitrosity. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.